The story of modern Israel is intricately woven into the fabric of ancient history. For centuries, Palestine, a land at the crossroads of civilizations, held deep religious and cultural significance for the Jewish people. It was the land of their forefathers, where their patriarchs walked and their prophets preached. Despite centuries of exile and dispersion, a Jewish presence, though often small and scattered, persisted in Palestine. Jewish communities, each with its own unique traditions and practices, dotted the landscape. Saif, Tiberias, and Jerusalem became centers of Jewish learning and spirituality, drawing pilgrims and scholars from across the diaspora. The land, known to them as Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, remained a potent symbol of their collective identity, a yearning for return echoing through generations. The 19th century saw a resurgence of Jewish immigration to Palestine, driven by a complex interplay of factors, including persecution in Europe and a growing desire for self-determination. Jews sought refuge and renewal in the land of their ancestors. These early immigrants, driven by religious conviction or a pioneering spirit, laid the groundwork for the dramatic events that would unfold in the 20th century. The late 19th century witnessed the birth of Zionism, a political movement that transformed the Jewish relationship with Palestine. Spearheaded by figures like Theodor Herzl, a Viennese journalist deeply affected by the rising tide of anti-Semitism in Europe, Zionism called for the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine. Herzl, in his influential book The Jewish State, argued that only a state of their own could guarantee the safety and security of the Jewish people. Zionism quickly gained traction, resonating with Jews facing discrimination and violence across Europe. The movement offered a solution to their plight, a vision of a future free from persecution. Organized groups began promoting Jewish immigration to Palestine, purchasing land and establishing agricultural settlements. The Zionist movement was not without its internal debates. Some envisioned a culturally vibrant Jewish center in Palestine, coexisting peacefully with the Arab population. Others advocated for a more politically autonomous entity, recognizing the complexities of creating a Jewish state in a land already inhabited by others. These debates would have lasting consequences, shaping the contours of the conflict to come. World War I dramatically altered the political landscape of the Middle East. The Ottoman Empire, which had ruled Palestine for centuries, crumbled. In its wake, the British, victorious in war, gained control of Palestine under a mandate from the League of Nations. This period, known as the British Mandate, proved to be a defining era, fraught with complexities and contradictions. The British, seeking to maintain stability in the region while juggling competing interests, made promises to both Jews and Arabs, often contradictory and ultimately impossible to fulfill. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, a landmark document in Zionist history, expressed British support for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. This declaration, while vague in its language, fueled Zionist aspirations and triggered a surge in Jewish immigration to Palestine. However, the British also made commitments to Arab leaders, promising them independence and self-rule in exchange for their support during the war. These conflicting promises, coupled with the influx of Jewish immigrants, created an explosive situation on the ground. Tensions between the Jewish and Arab communities escalated, culminating in outbreaks of violence that the British struggled to contain. Section 4. World War II's shadow, the Holocaust, and its impact. The horrors of World War II, particularly the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany, cast a long shadow over Palestine. The Holocaust, a stark reminder of the horrors of anti-Semitism, profoundly impacted the Zionist movement and international opinion. The plight of European Jewry facing extermination lent a moral urgency to the Zionist cause. The need for a Jewish homeland, a safe haven from persecution, resonated deeply across the world. Jewish immigration to Palestine surged in the aftermath of the war, as survivors sought refuge and a chance to rebuild their lives. However, the British, grappling with economic hardships and wary of further inflaming Arab anger, imposed restrictions on Jewish immigration, turning away desperate refugees even as the full extent of Nazi atrocities became known. This policy, seen by many as callous and unjust, further fueled tensions in Palestine and internationally. The Holocaust also had a profound impact on the Jewish community in Palestine. The Yishuv, as it was known, emerged from the war more determined than ever to establish a state, a place where they could defend themselves and control their own destiny. The horrors witnessed in Europe steeled their resolve, shaping their perception of the conflict and their determination to secure a future free from persecution. Section 5. A divided land, the UN partition plan. As the British prepared to withdraw from Palestine, the question of its future fell to the newly formed United Nations. In 1947, after months of deliberations and facing immense pressure from both sides, the UN proposed a plan to partition Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem under international control. This plan, known as Resolution 181, aimed to address the competing claims of both communities and provide a peaceful solution to the escalating conflict. The proposed partition plan was met with mixed reactions. The Jewish leadership, despite receiving less land than they had hoped for, reluctantly accepted the plan, viewing it as a historic opportunity to establish a Jewish state after centuries of statelessness. For them, it was a chance to finally achieve self-determination, to build a nation where they could live in peace and security. However, the Arab leadership vehemently rejected the plan, seeing it as a betrayal of their rights and an illegitimate seizure of their land. They argued that the plan unfairly favored the Jewish minority, who owned only a small fraction of the land and comprised about a third of the population. The Palestinians, feeling betrayed by the international community and fearing for their future, refused to recognize the legitimacy of the partition plan, setting the stage for a bitter and bloody conflict.